Alrighty, hello and welcome to this build guide for the fire version of Warpath now, the spell version of Warpath. I haven't actually come up with the name of this. I think it was like War Paladin or I don't know, Waradin, War Spell, Spell Path. Anything like that is good. Yeah, this is way different than the other Warpath I did. It's also very good. We'll compare them a little bit in like the pros cons area. But this is a much different play style than the other build, while still being good on clear, very good and clear, and generally having no major weaknesses. So let me go ahead and show you all what it looks like. Let's see here. So I actually just cleared the put 125 corruption on this one. It doesn't matter what we put on. We'll put this just so you can see the clear with a little bit of DR on it. So like I said, this is a spell-based build, where the other one was just like a void-based. Pretty straightforward overall. We're not actually doing the damage from Warpath in this build. The damage is coming from mostly 2 other sources, technically 3. We're getting it from Divine Bolts that will proc on hit, on melee hit. You can see those going off. We're getting it from some smites, although it's a much more minor even than the Divine Bolt. And then the star of the show is actually Holy Burst out of Holy Aura, which is going to absolutely annihilate enemies when it gets a group, because they'll just Holy Burst on top of each other. And it's really solid damage overall. We're actually getting not great procs here, but we're still doing pretty good. This build is tankier than the other one once you get it going, especially if you're hitting a rare, because we have an idol that is giving us a massive amount of armor. Right now there's no rares in there, so it's not working, but when it is, it's pretty good. Let's go hit the Patriarch first. As you see, their health gets chunked at certain points. That is the Holy Burst going off from Holy Aura. When we hit Holy Aura, when we actually actively proc it, or actively use it, it doubles the speed at which we get Holy Bursts to go off. So pretty fast. That was actually a little slower than usual just because we had the rares up. We had a lot of DR on that one from the shamans, but overall it's a above average clear speed option in the general just group of builds that you could possibly play. And it's a little bit slower to decently slower than the other one that I have. So this is more or less just a way to, if you don't like Void Knight, if you like spell, and if you like a whole lot of fire going off, this is an alternative that's also tankier. So if you like to be really tanky, this will give you that option. All right, let's go through the pros and cons. This is going to definitely be compared to the Void Warpath because I just made it. So there's going to be a lot of comparisons there, but I'll also try to give you like more of a general. So pros and cons of this build. It does have good clear speed. It's not the highest by a pretty wide margin, but amongst clear speed builds, it's in a good state. It's definitely got, you're not gonna be too slow with it. It has good move speed. It has good AoE. It's tanky. It wears a shield, whereas the other one can't. It still wears wings. It takes full advantage of Throne of Ambition, which we'll talk about later, to get lots and lots and lots of armor and still get increased damage on single target. Overall, AoE is really good. You don't have to stop. You can't get stunned, which is like the big war. Like, seriously, that's such an underrated aspect of Warpath that people just don't think about very much. Getting stunned in this game sucks. Not getting stunned in this game, good. And Warpath can't get stunned. So, great. So, if you don't want to get stunned, playing any Warpath build is good, and this one is certainly amongst those. Okay, let's talk about the cons. They're mostly in relation to the Void Knight one. It's not as fast, and that's largely due, almost exclusively due to the fact that the Void Knight one will drop echoes that will hit enemies, that will proc your haste on Wings of Argentis, not Tist, which this one doesn't. And so when you are not in a, like, directly in a pack of enemies with this build, you lose your haste. You generally do not lose your haste on the other one. So it'll go slower for that reason in particular. The other thing it's weaker on is single target. It's not terrible at all on single target. It's okay on single target. It's decent. It's not a bad boss fight. Like, you're not going to feel like you're just slogging, especially in the end game once you get Throne of Ambition. But it's not nearly as fast as the Void Knight one, which is definitely in the more upper echelon of single target builds. So Pros versus that one. It's tankier than that one. It's definitely tankier. The leech is a little bit more erratic, but overall not a big deal. Cons, the other one is a little bit faster, a decent bit faster, and has better single target. So that's basically what you're playing off. The other pro. Oh, there's one other con of this one. Frames you might have noticed on the echo that I did there, I had like 20 frames. That's common because it's not killing everything on the way, it's pulling everything, and it has a lot of visual effects itself. And so when you get into large groups, even if you're just pulling a whole lot of stuff along with you, you can drop into, like, depending on your rig, of course, 15 frames. That's something you kind of have to accept. Like, you have to just be okay with the fact that when you get into endgame and you start pulling a lot of enemies, if you decide to do the playstyle the way I do it, which is just run to the objective, you are definitely going to have some frame drops that are substantial. It's hard to do that playstyle right now without that. The Void Warpath benefits by killing things along the way, so it's not as bad. But if you're not able to do the Void Warpath on a build or that kind of mechanic, which most builds are not, you will have frame drops. So that's kind of just like a reality of the optimization of the game right now, unfortunately. So that's the pros cons. Overall, strong build, fun. I like it a lot. I love Warpath as it is. And this is actually kind of like a throwback to an old build I made when I first started playing, which was using the Flame Burst, but Flame Burst got like shadow nerfed and it stopped working right, and it came back this patch. So along with the Warpath changes, it's just way better now. Okay, let's see. Playability is like skill to play. This is pretty beginner friendly too, like the other one. Maybe a little less because I'm using Volatile Reversal to get my mana back, but overall it's pretty beginner friendly. Once again, there are no necessary uniques, although there are good uniques, and then at like late end game there are great uniques like Wings of Argentus, Logai's Hunger, and Throne of Ambition. But these are all target farmable. They're all drops off bosses, and this one here is actually like a low level unique that's not necessary for the build but gives you an additional point in Warpath because of the way the tags work. So there's nothing like preventing you from a new player from playing it. All the gear is relatively easily gotten. Even like the low level leech, there's a low level leech unique here that I'll talk about later that can do this one's job. It's pretty easy to get. In fact, it's super easy to get because it's just one of the quests at the beginning of the game. So yeah, there's no problems there with skill. You can play this as a beginner as long as you follow the guide. It's a little bit more in-depth as a playstyle, but it's not much more. Oh, by the way, another benefit, we're actually using all 5 skill slots, which we weren't doing on the Void Knight one. We're using 3. So if you're just someone who doesn't like to see like empty spots up here, this one's better for that. As far as nerfs, like future nerfs, I don't think there's much to worry about right now. Like, this isn't taking advantage of anything in Warpath that might be considered OP. The other one kind of is, like, this might be considered OP. But we're using like a little bit of Winds of Justice is definitely not OP, could be buffed, should be buffed. Cyclone of Wars, Fire Pen with Scepter is... No one else is doing this as far as I know, so I don't think that's a nerf incoming either. I don't think this one's got too much to worry about nerf-wise. There's nothing in here that's actually OP. So if you want to build that you should be able to use for a long time, I think this one's gonna. Of course, no one really knows that, but as far as I can estimate, I think you're pretty safe on this one. Okay, let's get into the actual build. Let's start with the skills and specs after drinking this coffee. Okay, obviously you're going to start with Warpath. It's going to start fairly similarly to the other one, the Void one, where you're going to start with 2 in Unchained, 1 in Reckless Spin to get you your 0 mana cost, so you can spin all the way through the chapters. And then Quicksilver Wind to go faster through the chapters. You can start with 2 or you go to 3, up to you. Then you can push your way in to get yourself the nice fire circle, which also will give you a conversion to ignite. Early game, you're mostly just relying on melee damage, even though this won't be melee based. So I do recommend using like a 2-hander. And you can just throw on melee added damage, attack speed, stuff like that. You won't actually start doing spell damage until you get Holy Aura and Flame Burst going off, and then you can switch to a Scepter. Also, by the way, we're using a Scepter for a reason, because we'll talk about this more later, but you get lots and lots of adaptive with the shield, and if you get adaptive with the Scepter. And, of course, you get Fire Pen with the Scepter. So, push through here. Then you can go up here and just take your area, take a couple of these. Once you get to like endgame, these aren't actually doing anything for you, anything realistically. But when you're leveling through, they will. For the endgame build, they're just there because we have to get down to Cyclone of War. So once you've done that, you can go either way here. I would probably recommend maybe taking 2 or 3 into increased spell damage. It's a lot of spell damage. You just get it when you're spinning. So anything you proc off of it is going to get the increased spell damage. And then Cyclone of War's 100% Fire Pen. It's just really good. Like, that's basically a more multiplier of 100%. Assuming you don't have any other pen. Well, you'll have a little bit of pen, so it's not quite that, but it's pretty close. If you don't have Fire Shred, then it's just a huge multiplier in your damage. And then I finished mine off with Winds of Justice, so we can get some smites. It's only 45%. Even at 5, it's only 75%. I think this is really weak in comparison to some of the other nodes in Warpath that should be stronger. But it's still good enough to where we can take advantage of the attack speed on Smite and get some damage out of it as well, which we'll talk about that in a minute. What's up, Reimer? We're buffing it? Oh, one of the devs just came and said we're buffing it. I love you, Reimer. You're amazing. All right, cool. Good news during the build guide. Awesome. Holy Aura. So this one's doing a lot of the work of the build, like a whole lot. Outside of Warpath, which is obviously doing all the procs and whatnot, causing the procs to happen. Holy Aura is doing most of the damage. You're going to go up and take Raised Devotion. And you're going to take 4 out of Running Blows. You could actually take 5 here if you wanted to for the global fire damage, but 4 is fine. Flame Burst. This is where you're getting a lot of your damage. That's going to be the AoE attack that goes off every 6 melee hits and then every 3 when you're actually using actively of Holy Aura. And then you'll get the 200% more damage for Flame Burst. So it actually does really good damage. I've also taken Fanaticism in True Strike for, of course, the attack speed and the crit chance. And then I just had to put some points somewhere, so we went with Shelter. I could have actually taken Raised Fury, but honestly, we have so much pen, this would be pretty nominal, so you might as well get a little bit of elemental resistance and endurance out of it. All right, sigils. We are auto casting sigils, but there is something you can do at the beginning of the Echo. If you want to get your sigils up to start with, you can hit 3 and then fall into reversal and go. I forget to do this most of the time, but if you do, it's like it's a little more efficient. Even if you don't, though, you'll get a summon sigil on kill from Last Wish. You'll take 4 in Empowered, 1 on Last Wish. I have taken 3 out of 3 here to get more added fire damage. And then I mostly went defense. 2 armor per active sigil here. More duration, so we keep them up longer. 1 maximum sigil. Double health regen to get up to the block chance. When you have 3, I'm running 56% block chance right now. When I hit 3, I get up to 65% block chance. But I can push the block chance more, by the way. I'm not min-maxed on that. But it's in a pretty good state right now. Okay, let's go into Smite. Smite's doing 2 things. It's doing some damage, single target base, basically. It's just going to randomly proc 45% of the time every second on an enemy. And when it does, it's going to give us, oops, here we go, 20% attack and cast speed. This got nerfed this patch. It's still good. 20% attack speed. Which is basically 100% uptime. It's pretty close to that with this build. It's pretty solid. And then the rest of it's all based on damage. So I've got damage here, a little bit of sacrifice health cost. This doesn't do much damage to me because it's so rarely actually procs. Crit multi, and then some base crit. And then the last thing we're going to use here is Volatile Reversal. This is actually our mana generator. It's also giving us attack speed and move speed when we use it. We go up here and we get the cooldown recovery up here. We turn off the health for more cooldown recovery. I actually have more cooldown recovery than I need, but I think I'm okay with it right now. Cooldown recovery here, and then 1 additional reversal time. And the Void Refs, and we actually do get enemy damage taken if they're in a Void Refs. But the primary thing this is doing is just like when I'm spinning, of course, I want to do Holy Aura because it's going to give me more damage, but that costs mana. And so if I just reversal after it, I get my mana back. And so it makes sure I can keep 100% uptime on my mana without ever having to really leave. Although technically, when you reversal, you do leave for like half a second, not even. But that's acceptable on this build. It's not acceptable on the other build, by the way. If you're wondering, why didn't you do that with the other builds? Because as soon as you drop out of Warpath, you stop echoing for 2 seconds on your Warpath, and it's not worth it on the other build. So if you notice there's a discrepancy there, I'm using it here and not there, that's why. Here there's no like have to wait 2 seconds to do other things. You do volatile reversal, so there's no issue with that. Okay, that's the skills. Let's go into the passives. We've got 8 of 8 in Juggernaut, fire and void resist plus strength. It's all good. The strength is probably not super useful, but the resist certainly is. Words are hard. Overwhelm would not be that good here because we're not melee. We've taken a bunch in Fearless. In fact, I've actually missed one here. I should be taking this. So do take one in Gladiator. I can't believe I've done this. What a terrible tier crafter. Armor clad, 5 of 5 here. Damage taken from nearby enemies, and the armor is going to be huge on this build. In fact, I need to show you guys like just how big it is. Maybe I'll do that during the rotation. We'll find a rare and I'll show you what kind of stuff you can do. All right, from there, we do take 1 in Forge Guard. I did not forget this one for the block chance. I've taken 5 in Void Knight for the Void resistance and Fizz resistance. You can definitely take more here. By the way, this build's a little bit lower level than the other one. It's only 86, so I've still got 14 points to spend. And I haven't taken the 2 in the story because I don't do the story right now, except for like Super Min Maxi, because it's a lot of time for 2 passives. But if I did, I'd have 2 more passive points. All right, from there, you just go on to the Paladin. 8 of 8 in Conviction for that Fire Pen and Fire damage. It's all good. Melee resistance here. Attunement's good too. Here's my block chance. Divine Bolt's one of our damage dealers, so we're going to take 1 of 1 here and 5 of 5 here to get additional Divine Bolts. It'll attack less often, but it'll hit more things, so it's okay. Definitely take 10 of 10 in Heaven Fire. 30 adaptive spell damage with a shield. That's on top of your scepter damage. That's just additional. So this is like super rewarding you for going with a shield instead of a staff, which, okay, if you want EHG, I'm happy to take less damage to do more damage. I'm not going to complain. From there, we're going to take 8 of 8 in Sanctuary Garden for a similar reason. We have armor with a shield, more defense, and adaptive spell with a shield. And then, of course, we're going to take Shield Wall for the block chance. We don't care about dodging anyway. I've currently got 2 of 8 in Faith Armor. I could increase this as we go. Right now, I like it. Prayer Ages for the health endurance threshold is really nice. It's a lot of health. Endurance threshold is good too. Holy Precision is great. We have the increased spell crit strike chance of 200%. I wish we were lightning. We get the crit multi, but we don't. And then I've got currently 3 of 2 in Reverence of Duality and 3 of 2 in Light of Rhea. Like I said, I've got, what, they say 16, I think I have 18 points left to spend. I'll probably either put them in these, in this, and I'll definitely put 1 here. I definitely need to have 1 in Gladiator. So the Gladiator, Faith Armor, Reverence of Duality, and Light of Rhea. Some combination of those that I'm looking at going forward for the last several points. Okay, that's all the passives. That feels pretty quick. Let's move on to the gearing. So, a quick tip when you're leveling, definitely go and get. Let me get it. Let me show you guys what I want you to get. This will make it a lot easier for you once you get to the spell stuff, especially. But as soon as you convert to fire, it's going to be good. I probably put it in here. I did not put it in there. Where are you, gloves? Where are my leveling gloves? I know you're in here. Can't hide from me. There it is. Avarice. Grab these. When you get to, not the end of time, when you get to Ruined Era, and you reach the Council Chambers. All right, let's just go there. I will show you what I mean. Once you reach the Council Chambers, you will have a couple of quest options. The first one will be an old man over here. This guy right here. Elder Urza. Talk to him, get his quest. When that happens, this guy's going to also light up. Artem the Gambler. Do not take that quest, or do not turn it into him. Because the return in is one or the other. It's exclusive, and they both have exclusive uniques. This guy drops a crit amulet. This guy drops the leech gloves, so turn into him and get the Avarice gloves. And you will find that your sustain's much better. And you can wear those all the way up until Low Guy's Hunger. And you'll do quite well with that. That'll carry you for a long time. Low Guy's Hunger actually and a blessing. So once you get the blessing, you should probably switch them. So once you get this blessing here, Grand Hunger of the Void or Hunger of the Void, then you can take those gloves off, wear them until that point though. Okay, so outside of leveling though, once you get to like actual end game and you start to make your build, this is what you're going to want to do. Of course, you're going to want movement speed on your gloves, or excuse me, your boots. These are not perfect by any means. Vitality is really good on these, but actually, let's pull up. Let me pull up the actual Paladin planner here. You have a better understanding of what, like, you know, perfect looks like or close to perfect. So movement speed, vitality. This is actually hybrid health. Increased armor is good, although once you get the unique here, it's not quite as good, but it's still good. On your relic, you definitely want all resist while channeling. That's an amazing affix. I didn't actually put damage while channeling here. I've got double crit strike, which is great too. Crit's really good for this because you get the leech. I've also got frailty here, but frailty somewhere if you can. That's really good. Oh, I gotta change this too because I've got the dagger on. I don't want the dagger on. I'll change that later. I'll do that before I put the build guide out. So don't want dagger, you want scepter. You're gonna want Wings of Argentis super late end game. Before that, just do a Warpath. Do plus Warpath. Once you get here, that less damage taken while moving is kind of god tier. Don't tell the devs, even though they're in my chat. That's probably too strong because of Warpath. It sucks. That and probably should get nerfed, but reality is 40% less damage taken while moving with Warpath is crazy good. And on this particular build, unlike the Void one, we're getting the melee fire level skills. We're getting +1 to Warpath as well. The melee fire damage here doesn't really affect us because we're not doing much melee fire. But the rest of this stuff is just, this is absolutely an S tier item for Warpath. You definitely want it. Low Guy's Hunger gives you more base crit, and also gives you fire damage leached as health and crit. And it's the nice Fizz Necrotic amulet, so that's great too. That's also that's a GG item. Definitely wear that best in slot. And then Thornslinger is really good because it gives you additional Warpath point. It gives you move speed. Whether it's actually GG best in slot in here is definitely debatable. But if you want 22 points in Warpath, which will actually give you, the way I built it, 1 more point here. Don't look at this. Let's go over here because that one's wrong. That's the old version of the build before I fixed it. That will give you the 5th point here, which is 20% fire pen. So very good. 20% fire pen from 1 unique is pretty solid, which is what it definitely or ultimately accounts for. As far as rings go, actually let's go helmet. Helmet, vitality, attunement, health, increased health here. That's all good stuff. You could also go cooldown recovery to do your holy aura more often. That would also be good. In fact, I might even update that to show that. As far as shield goes, block chance, block effectiveness, all resist, reduce damage taken on block are your best options. Some sort of resistance there, and health are also really good. Rings, you got movement speed rings if you can. If you need to fill in other resistances, that's fine as well. Or if you just get like a really good item. Crit strike chance, fire damage, crit avoidance, block chance, block effectiveness. Fire damage here is, I would say, is the least important. The other ones are better or more important. So if you get one with those 3 and something else, I'd go with that. And then on the other one, I've got health. We don't need full crit avoidance because we also have crit avoidance here. And if you take the crit avoidance blessing, you're good there as well. Actually, you don't even need that. You can just take your passives. I haven't done this on my live one, but if I take all my crit avoidance here, and I take crit avoidance there, and I take crit avoidance there, then I'm good. I've opened that blessing slot for something else, which I think is actually really important. Yeah, because that's the increased armor one, I think. No, it's not. Which one is that? I'm taking there. I have taken... I have Necrotic Resistance right now. So, but there's lots of options here that are good. So you don't have to do crit avoidance. And I think I actually plan for something else in here. Let's see what I plan for. Oh yeah, all resistance right here. So you can get away from that crit avoidance there if you want to. We interrupt your regularly scheduled build guide to bring you this correction. This correction brought to you by me being a dumbass and forgetting to talk about the weapon during the actual recording. Alright, so let's talk about the weapon. It is a scepter. Scepter is for 3 reasons. 1, you're wearing a shield to get the adapted spell damage. So you need a one-hander, you can't use a staff. 2, it's got really good spell damage on it. And 3, it's got the ability to put increased spell damage and minus spell mana cost on, which is very, very important. Oh, yeah, actually, there's 4. 4 is you need Fire Pen with Scepter. This should actually be a point in here. Fire Pen with Scepter. We have 80% right now. I think I have 100% when I've got this all done. I've been messing with this, so apologies. But yeah, you want it for those 4 reasons. You want the -3 spell mana cost so that you can bring down Smite to 0 mana cost. Otherwise, you will run out of mana during many of the echoes and definitely the boss fights. So it's really, really important that you put minus spell mana cost on this. Other thing you want on here is melee attack speed. You could also go crit chance, but you're going to proc a holy aura's burst a lot less often. So I definitely recommend melee attack speed. Chance to chill is good. Stun's fine. Blind's okay. The suffixes matter a little bit less on this one. Shred armor is pretty good too. So anything on the suffix like chill, stun, blind, shred, you know, defensive stuff, frailty are all great. But definitely make sure you get the minus spell mana cost. That is the #1 thing that you want on the weapon. Okay, bringing you back to your build guide. Okay, as far as let's go blessings. Spell damage leaches health here for sure, 100%. Stun chance here because there's not really any good options. And stun, you will stun things because the fire burst is strong, and so adding stun chance to it is always good. All resist here. Crit avoidance if you don't have it capped is fine. Oh, these two are amazing. These are god tier. Armor while channeling, unbelievably good. I took on the other one too, and increased armor. And once you get this going with that, you get up to 400% increased armor. It gets good. It's pretty solid stuff. Like, you're gonna have so much armor on this build. It's crazy. As far as the others, there's a lot of good choices for idols. Here I've got increased warpath area, increased armor. Same thing here, and here I've got vitality, increased armor. When you get this one, you don't necessarily need it, but you're just going to be so tanky with it, you might as well. But you could do like fire damage. You could do other things in here and it'd be fine. This is the only one that's definitely must have, as far as I'm concerned. Throne of Ambition is amazing. It drops off God Hunter Argentis, by the way. It's a rare. So definitely stack your rarity when you go into that fight to try to get it to drop quicker. Everything's got in here. I have double health. Those are always good. Armor health. Okay, that's all the gearing. Let's talk about the rotation real quick. So you spin, yeah, you're spinning, you're doing a good job spinning. Continue to spin until you get to something tanky or a big group of mobs and hit holy aura. And just hit them really hard, and then within 3 or 4 seconds, I actually was too slow there. Within 3 to 4 seconds, I want to do my my Volta reversal. So I'll show you how it actually looks. You hit it, you Volta reversal, and you get your mana back. That's the only like skill part of this, because you do have to sort of plan out your volatile reversal so that you're not jumping back into damage or jumping out of enemies hitting you. So sometimes what I do is like a tanky mob, I'll go over to him, I'll spin for a few seconds before I hit holy aura, so I know I'm in the general range, and then I'll do the combination so I stay in that area. That's really the only like skill stuff. Like obviously with Warpath, make sure you're not standing in poison and stuff. But outside of that, this is a pretty easy build to play. You spin, you holy aura, you reversal. You spin, you holy aura, you reversal. One more step than the other Warpath build, but not really much more. Let's see if I can quickly, we're only at what? We're only at 12, we're at 26 minutes, shit. Let's see if I can get like a quick, show you what it looks like with a rare. So when we hit a rare, I want you to see what the armor does, because that idol is kind of crazy, and it's gonna buff your fire damage the same way. So I'll try to do a quick echo just to give you an idea with the character sheet up when we get there. Okay, give me something good. Oh, it's the gate. Find some uniques. You're gonna there is a buff icon for it, so you can keep track, and it does tell you the number of stacks you have. So pretty easy to do. Come on, rares. Any rares anywhere? There's a rare. So we got 1 stack, we got 2 stacks. See the armor increasing. Oh, he died already. Shoot. We got to be less OP here. We're killing things too quickly. Where are we? Okay. Give me a yellow. We might not get to see too much more of it. I'll have this up because it doesn't matter. You can see the area. We're getting 3 stacks. Armor is up to it's dropping back down to 3,800. And give me some yellows, man. Give me some yellows. I think at the end here we'll get some more yellows. I'll hit my holy aura just to try to get things cleared out here a little faster. 4,300. We don't have any stacks on us though. Come on. Go. On boss fights, you will pretty much maintain 100% uptime at 20 stacks. As long as As long as you're not running away for long periods of time. So on shade, you might not. But everything else, you'll be in like the, I think you're over 10k armor in its current state. There was like no yellows in there. Okay, but you kind of got the idea. Just trust me, if there's lots of yellows or if there's bosses, your armor is insane. Hit damage will almost never have any chance of killing you. The only thing you really have to worry about are dots. Don't stand in dots, and then you're good. Okay, that's everything. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you really enjoy this. If you like Warpath, this is definitely another type of Warpath build worth checking out. If you like weird builds too, that do things like in a non-traditional way, this one's doing it in a very non-traditional way since the damage doesn't come from Warpath, yet Warpath is the primary skill that's proccing everything. If you want to watch or hang out and just chat about the builds as I'm making them, I do stream just about 6 days a week. Happy to answer any questions you guys have. We have a pretty cool community here. Yes, even you, Zolak, even you are pretty cool. Zolak's one of my long-term viewers. Yeah, would love to have you join us with that. Also, we have a Discord where we talk about Ellie pretty much all the time in other games as well, and all kinds of other stuff. That's 50 DKB minus. Yeah, but thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoy the build as much as I do, and I hope you're enjoying your time in Last Epoch as much as I am as well. And I will see you all again real soon.